There's a road near the top of every motorcyclist's bucket list. The $1 Million Highway has a reputation. Some call it the scariest road they've ever ridden. Some say it's the most dangerous road in the US. Others call it the best motorcycle road anywhere. I made 7 passes along its twists and turns back in July 2026, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Some things in life, when you finally get to do them, they fall a little short of the expectations you've built up in your mind. The $1 Million Highway falls short of nothing. It delivers. I'd been carrying this road with me since long before I left for this trip. I was excited, to say the least, but I also had a list of real questions that I just couldn't answer. Would the drop-offs, hundreds of feet in places, stop me from riding it? Would there be traffic, people stacking up behind me wanting to go faster? Would the weather cooperate, or would the wildfire smoke that had been following parts of this trip turn the whole thing hazy? Would I even enjoy it after all this build-up? None of these questions changed the plan. I was determined to ride this road. 2 years ago, on a different trip, I got as far as Durango. The road was technically open, but it's not a road you want to ride your first pass on in the snow. I spent the day on the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge railroad instead, and told myself I'd come back someday to finish it properly. The $1 Million Highway runs the 25 miles of US 550 between Ouray and Silverton, cutting through the San Juan Mountains in southwestern Colorado. Nobody actually agrees on where the name came from. One story that gets repeated most is that the gravel used to build the road was laced with gold and silver tailings, worth $1 million a mile. Another story is that it cost $1 million to build the first wagon road along this route. The road was built by Otto Mears in 1883 at a cost of about $200,000. A lot for the time, but not quite $1 million. The more likely version, in 1921, a group met to plan the rebuilding of the old wagon road into something more modern, that cars could travel. And someone added up all the contracts and called it this $1 Million Highway, and the name stuck. The northern stretch, heading south out of Ouray, is the part that gives this road its reputation. 5 miles of twists, from Ouray to the snowshed, cut right into the wall of the gorge. Only inches of shoulder in places, and no guardrails. They say guardrails would only get in the way of the snowplows come winter. But I think Coloradans also just take a little pride in keeping their mountain roads rugged and cliffy. Even though the highway runs 25 miles total, this is the section all the warnings are about. It's high. It's narrow. It's daunting. But you can do it. I did it 4 times with the cliffs on my right, and 3 with the cliffs on my left. Under clear skies, under threatening skies, and even under a little construction. The same miles, but a very different road every time. I'll let the road talk for a while, and I'll be back in a minute. The cliffs are pretty level. You're not climbing or descending a steep grade while you're exposed to the drop-offs, which helps more than you'd think. But still, the consequences are real. This isn't a road that offers a lot in the way of forgiveness. Take it slow. You'll be okay. Respect the road, and it will reward you with 5 miles you'll never forget. They don't call this area Little Switzerland for nothing. From there, the road starts climbing. Hairpins, switchbacks, and straightaways, gaining elevation as Red Mountain comes into view. Its peaks stained a deep rust red, iron oxide in the rock, bleeding color into the whole mountainside. No need to wonder how Red Mountain Pass got its name. Old mine ruins along the road, remnants of the boom that built this highway in the first place. I caught up to 2 other riders on the switchbacks. And even though we had the same road, on the same day, and the same sketchy clouds looming, they were on different bikes that handled the curves just a little differently. I can never know exactly what their experience was. They had their ride, and I had mine. I'll let you soak in the switchbacks and scenery, and I'll be back in another minute. Over the summit of Red Mountain Pass at 11,018 feet, the road starts down the other side, to Silverton. This side of the pass is quieter, and this was the stretch where the threatening clouds finally let loose, with a little rain and a little hail. Pinging loud against my helmet and visor, but gone within a few minutes. It's a good reminder that the mountains don't care about your itinerary. They have their own schedule, especially on hot summer afternoons. The 2 riders were still ahead of me the whole way down into Silverton. I stopped at my motel, and they went ahead towards town. A few hours later, I saw their bikes parked outside the Harley shop, and I popped in a few places to look for them. I had great footage of their ride, and I wanted to be able to share it with them. But I never found them, never got their names. We'd ridden the same 25 miles, less than a minute apart from each other for most of it, and I couldn't give them back their own ride. It was never really the same ride to begin with. One more stretch in silence, the run down to Silverton. One thing I noticed across all 7 passes: nobody's in a hurry on this road. If you want to go faster than the person ahead of you, there's a pull-off coming, and they'll probably pull over for you. And if you're the slower one, no one rides your back tire. They'll wait for you to pull over too. It's an unspoken agreement, and it's one reason why a road this narrow, with a reputation this big, actually works. Everyone on it is having their own ride, at their own pace, and everyone knows it and respects it. Some things I've finally been able to do, and they fall a little short of the version I've built up in my head. This one didn't. Not because it lived up to some perfect ideal of what the $1 Million Highway is supposed to be, but because each of those 7 passes was exactly what it was meant to be. It turns out the $1 Million Highway is actually a million different roads, and I only got to ride a handful of them. "10 days after my last pass through here, the mountain reminded everyone that this road isn't a fixed thing waiting patiently for the next rider. 8 mudslides came down across Red Mountain Pass in a single evening of monsoon rain, and this 25 miles of road was closed for 2 days while the crews cleared it. The road I'd waited 2 years to ride, that I carried a month of questions about before I got here, it wasn't holding still for me either. None of us really get to ride the same road twice. If you'd like a full, uninterrupted ride along the $1 Million Highway with no narration, I'll link to the Miles in Silence version as soon as it's ready. Until the next ride, be safe, be curious, and keep meandering.